so good. Okay, cool. Now we can see it. So here was my Hobbs from yesterday. It's time to add Calvin. What I wanted to do was, where's file? Save a copy as we're gonna make this 9:16. Calvin, and save that. Whoops. All right, so let's do a new layer, and we'll make this new layer. Whoops. We'll make this new layer Calvin. And let's see what we can do here. So basically, Calvin's head starts like just under his Hobbs's arm. So what I sort of learned from yesterday is I can just rough this stuff out and then come in later and tighten it up. It's a little too sharp. I was trying yesterday to do like these like perfect ink strokes, but it's really hard. It's really hard to get that. So we're just going to rough this stuff out. And then his head comes to here and here. Like I was like, for a second I'm like, wow, his head's really big, but technically Hobbs's head, Calvin's head is really that big. So he's got some hair, some stray hair here, his forehead here, and then we got his nose just about here, and then these two eyes. And it's pretty interesting. Like you would think that this style is pretty easy to draw, but it's actually not. So, all right. I don't like that at all. Some of this stuff is very like, I mean, I could see that it's so hard. So it's almost like almost like a paintbrush stroke. It's actually even more forward. It's basically directly under this eye. All right, so let's add some more sort of definition in here. Actually, you know what? Before we even get into that, let's finish just getting his body where it needs to be. He's got his shoulders that come down to about here. Then his arm comes down to here. His body sort of curves out like this, right here to like this thing comes down. becomes his shoulder, and then his hand. We'll tighten this up in a minute. But this shoulder here comes in, and then this comes around. Right? It's like he's just standing there with his hands behind his back. And he has these really big shoes, all things considered. And he has his shoes come into about here. Then there's just this grass and stuff, which, whoops, I messed that line up. That's like the one thing. I think I made him like a little too big. So let's cheat a little bit here. We're gonna shrink him. Whoops, I don't want to do that as perspective. Here we go. We're gonna shrink him down just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so that's roughly Calvin. Let's add this grass stuff off to the edge here. And then we're going to spend the rest of this time. I don't have a lot of time today to do my drawing, so we're just going to go back over our lines and just make them a lot smoother. It's tough because we're trying to emulate sort of these ink brush strokes. And I don't even know if I could ever get this style. I mean, I'm sure probably digitally you could. And I'm not looking for this to be 100% perfect. I'm just looking for it to be smooth. And one thing I don't like, and I have to figure out how to customize the brush, but I don't like how the eraser sometimes like this makes these blurry lines. I think I want to erase this and curve it down more. Let's do this. Let's oops, I don't want that. feel like this needs to just be down a little bit more. Nah, no, where it was fine. It just, I need to put the just need to put these lines in the right place that sort of anchor his head. And this is going to be, this curve is going to be see, it's funny, but it's like where you put that curve makes a huge difference in just the emotion of his face. See, that's already too thick. So this is it has a very thick stroke around this ear. I'm really off on these lines, but it's okay. This is more of like I've never really sat down and drawn Calvin and Hobbes before. Ugh, I can't wait to get I ordered that glove for my hand so it doesn't keep tripping up the the drawing. All right, so there's there's Calvin, and what we want to do is this curve still comes right into this here, and we just get a little glimpse of his striping on his shirt. It's funny, but it's like it's driving me nuts. Like I know it's not that great. It doesn't look right, but on its own, it looks fine. Once you compare it though to the original, it looks like crap. So it is what it is. So this comes down a little bit more, and it becomes this. It becomes the line across his shirt. So we come up here to this. Like that. fact, the line actually comes up a little bit sharper here because it defines his neck, but becomes the base of that. I love my Hobbes. All right. So we have this line here. We have another line right down here. And it sort of just cuts across again. Cut that in for a second here and sharpen that. Then we get that line across, but then this line here cuts right across as well. It's angled down a little bit. Mm-hmm. So good. Whoops, man. Yeah, I think like yesterday I was trying to get these lines to be like really perfect, and it's never going to match that 100%. But what I'm trying to get now is at least the rough feel of where these things should be in this sketch, and then I just go through and sort of do it on my own. All right, so the last thing we want to do is come in here and start just defining his pants and his shoes, which will help because this cuts in a little bit more. This is black, and this will just help define this whole area down here. Let's see here. All right, so just try to tighten up these lines here, which define his shoes. And this right in here. So here we go. Again, it's not 100% accurate, but it is pretty close. I mean, I think that's the whole idea of this art style. Is like he had a really good sense of where where to use negative space and to define stuff. And because of that, it made this all look really great. Like it's like weird. The style gives this impression to be that it's sloppy, but it's very deliberate. I don't know, whatever. Now that I've sat down and tried to emulate this, I really love it. So there we go. That is Calvin. They're so great together. And I think that will be my sketch for the day. So a very quick sketch.